Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Alexia Foods cooking demo and gala dinner with Tyler Florence. Hi to all of you, our Food Buzz bloggers, and everyone who is currently watching live on Facebook via the Alexia Foods Facebook page. We're so grateful to Alexia for sponsoring tonight's event. I know many of you, like me, enjoy their wide variety of gourmet-inspired side dishes, so we're so excited tonight to help them kick off the Reinvent a Classic campaign right here at the Food Buzz Festival. So without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce the Vice President of Alexia Foods, Mike Smith.
Thanks, Beth, and hi, everyone. Like Beth said, I'm Mike Smith, the Vice President of Alexia Foods, and on behalf of everyone at Alexia Foods, I'd like to welcome you out to tonight's food presentation with celebrity chef Tyler Florence. So let me hear you. How many of you out there are familiar with Alexia's products? Great to hear. So for those of you who aren't so familiar with them, Alexia is a line of frozen potato appetizer, breads, and vegetable side dishes. And we're really excited about them. It's a line of high-quality, all-natural ingredients that help that at-home cook make their meals simply extraordinary. You know, about a year ago, we decided to partner with who I personally believe is one of the culinary geniuses in America, and that's Tyler Florence. So we were really excited to partner with him because it gave us a chance to bring our fans at Alexia some cooking tips and recipe pairing ideas to help them really create gourmet-inspired meals. The other thing is Tyler helped us launch our Reinvent a Classic campaign. And last year, consumers and folks were able to go out onto our Alexia Foods Facebook page and vote for the next Alexia French fry flavor. And that flavor, the winner was Alexia's Parmesan Lemon Waffle Fry. And you're going to get a chance to try that tonight. Okay? This year, we're really excited. We're going after a second year on the Reinvent a Classic campaign. However, there's a little bit a different spin to it. And that is, this year, those flavor ideas were actually submitted by food bloggers just like you. And so you had a chance to try some of those as you came in this evening. And if you go to Alexia Foods' Facebook page, you can actually vote for the next Alexia flavor, all right? Tonight, Tyler's going to be walking us through those 4 flavors. He's also going to recognize the bloggers that were behind those recipes. He's also going to share with us one of his favorite cooking demonstrations and recipes. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming the talented Chef Tyler Florence.
Mike, thank you so much. Thank you so much. What's up, bloggers? How are you guys doing tonight? The bar's open, right? I'm so happy you guys are here. Are you guys hungry? All right, fantastic. We are going to put together a really great dish tonight. We got a fantastic demonstration. We're going to put together autumn spiced pork chops, right? Does that good to you guys? We'll walk you through the whole demonstration, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm glad you guys are here. This is the 2011 Food Blogger Conference in San Francisco, California. I moved to San Francisco in 2006. I lived in New York City for about 14 years. And our food became very cohesive, very deep, very interesting when we moved to the West Coast. Food here is so respected and so delicious and so interesting. And the food community here is so deep. I'm glad you guys are here for a couple days to get a chance to try some more fantastic restaurants and get to be a part of it. And because this is such a wonderful town to kind of come together and share information, hang out with each other, and really develop what I think is the next technology, the next line of communication, and that's the blogosphere. And that's you guys right here. You guys are the next front. It went from, from cookbooks and magazines to everybody really having equal and shared space. Isn't that wild? It's about what you do that really counts. And you, at this point, have the same mojo, right? To be able to write an interesting, fascinating column and get the same amount of pickup right? And the same amount of eyeballs, same amount of tweets, same amount of Facebook likes as major publications. Isn't that wild? It is democracy. Blogging is democracy. It's food democracy. So I'm glad you guys are here tonight. Can you guys give Alexia a round of applause? I just think one of the most interesting food companies in the country right now. And they do the right thing and they say the right thing. And as a parent, when we started kind of working together and developing ideas, they said, so how do you really know our product? I'm like, are you kidding me? I literally opened up my freezer and took a photograph of Alexia potatoes in my freezer because my children love the sweet potato fries, right? So I said, you know what? I speak your language. You guys speak mine. I think this is going to be a lot of fun, right? So I'm glad you guys are here today. So we are going to talk about, we got the 4 different, so the Reinvent the Classic campaign they started with last year. It's about taking a classic idea and giving it a little twist, right? Something really kind of interesting. Last year's winner, right, which is now the new product that Alexia is going to launch in January, which is the lemon Parmesan waffle fry, which is so delicious and so interesting, was picked from a very similar crowd just like this last year. So this is what I love about, the democracy of information being shared back and forth. The company's so about everyday real people, right? Fans of, great cooking and people that are really using their kitchen and using information to get food and dinner on the table on a real life scenario, right? And that's what I love about it. So this year's Reinvent the Classic campaign is all about 4 new flavors, right? 4 new opportunities for real life people that are, live in all across the country, Atlanta, Orange County, Dallas, Minneapolis. Like really great everyday people that are, writing fantastic food blogs to make a difference. Isn't that wild? So if you've ever been interested in see how things actually get to the grocery store, this is as grassroots as it possibly gets, right? So this year's 4 brand new flavors, right, that are really interesting. And there are 4 really great bloggers and blogger groups at this table right here that have been selected, right, as possible contenders for the one flavor it's going to be, right? Isn't that exciting? Really exciting. Right. So, Mike, anything you want to add to that, Mike?
That was great.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah.
So, guys, the 4 new flavors, right, that have been tested by Alexia and tested by myself, because I think they're awesome, right? Great job. And as a chef and a restaurateur and a product developer myself, I know what kind of R&D it takes to put something like this together. And they're delicious, and they're very well thought through, right? So I'm going to announce all of the bloggers and the potatoes, and then after that, as a group, if we could put our arms around them and give them a great round of applause. So a classic dill julienne fry, which is absolutely delicious, by Angela Williamson from Fab Fine Foodie. She selected this, was really great, right? Thai spice sweet potato julienne fries by Marla Meredith from Family Fresh Cooking. Herb de Provence and garlic sweet potato fries by the dynamic duo of Duo Dishes, Crystal Baker and Amir Thomas. And then a bruschetta waffle fry from Faria Ali from Spicy Bites. Will you please give him a wonderful round of applause? Yeah. So this is what I really like about the company, because they listen to people and they actually give great fans an opportunity to create great products, right? So I'm glad you guys are here tonight. So anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so you guys all had a chance to try those flavors before you came in. So if you liked one of them, make sure that you go on to Alexia Foods' Facebook page, spread the word, tell all your friends and family about it, and go online and vote for that next flavor.
Absolutely.
It's all yours, Tyler.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mike Smith, everybody. Give him a round of applause. Excellent. Cool. So autumn. Cooking this time of year is probably my favorite time of the year because the flavors get very deep. The flavors are rich, unctuous, succulent, things you want to grab a napkin and just kind of wipe your chin a couple of times. and it's all about rich aromas and rich flavors. So as we move from one season to the next, from tomato and corn and fresh lobster and basil, we're moving into the deep season, right? We're moving into braised short ribs, lamb shank, roasted butternut squash. We're moving into like things that are just really, really deep, you know, things you want to have a really great glass of red wine with, sit by the fire, and enjoy great American classic comfort food, right? So we're going to reinvent the classic right here in front of everybody. We're going to make an apple cider brine pork chop with black pepper and nutmeg spatzel, braised apple and red cabbage, and then also we're going to have a little beautiful natural jus to go along the whole thing. Does that sound delicious to you guys? All right, fantastic. So let's start from the very beginning. So we're going to make a brine, all right? So you guys know how to make a brine, right? So how many bloggers here have actually experimented with different brines? I'm sure some of you guys have talked about quite a bit. Tons of hands going up. That's the reason I like talking to you guys, because you get the whole process, right? So for those of you who haven't had a chance to experiment with a brine before, a brine is acting through the scientific method of osmosis to absorb and hold liquid and keep cuts of meat very, very juicy, right? So you know how you feel after you went out too late last night and you had one too many martinis or one too many margaritas, right? You feel a little bloated, right? When it comes to fantastic cuts, that's a good thing, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put together a brine here, right? And then we got some gorgeous pork chops that we're going to fold into the brine. And this is what we call a wet marinade, right? So a dry marinade would be an idea of a spice rub. And then you come on oils and herbs and that kind of thing. This is what we call a wet marinade. So a really quick recipe, guys, right? So we got apple cider that we're going to mix in, right? And this time of year, you get a really good pressed apple cider, right? It's unfiltered. You know, it smells like fresh apples. Then it's going to be 50-50 brown sugar and salt, okay? And then we're just going to stir this together until it starts to dissolve. Then we're going to add a little bit of peppercorn to this and some fresh thyme. And that's it, right? This is one of the most beautiful, clean, holiday, fall-specific brines you'd ever want to taste, right? It's everything that you think it could be, right? We're going to add a little bit of water to this, just to dilute it. And then we're ready to add the pork chops. You guys want to see these pork chops? I got some monster pork chops back here. Hey. All right. So, Brian, you guys got it? So, 50-50 salt, sugar, right? You can add water too if you want to, but this time of year, I like the flavor of apple. You know, pork chops and applesauce, it makes great sense. So, we're going to mix the two together, okay? Now, let's talk about pork chops. So, Northern California is lucky enough to have some amazing ranchers. It's all about sustainable, well looked after, well cared for. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Isn't that great? That's what I'm talking about. Pork chops, baby. You know what I mean? Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we got plenty for everybody. Right? Isn't that beautiful? Right? So this is pork from Northern California, from Sonoma specifically. A really great ranch, and it has beautiful marbling to it. Organic, hormone-free. You know, had a really great life. Had one bad day. Come on. Had one bad day. But the flavor's fantastic, okay? So when you're looking for pork, right? When you go to the store, you're looking for pork. You're looking for a beautiful pink hue to it, right? You're looking for something that looks fresh. If it's starting to look gray, maybe a little bit of washed out, it's not exactly what you're going for. And also with pork, fat equals flavor, right? Without a doubt. So you want to see some nice marbling in the eye loin, right? Sometimes pork can be a little dry. How many people really fight a dried out pork chop, right? When you guys are cooking, you guys, I'm sure you've addressed this in your blogs a couple of times, right? You don't want to overcook it for sure, right? Brining always really helps the situation. And then also the thickness makes a gigantic difference as well, right? Let's go deep, right? These are 10-ounce pork chops. You could make one for 2 people, right? It's even a little better to take 1 pork chop for 2 people and cook it perfectly, right? And everyone's happy about it. Instead of having small pork chops, you fry individually and they overcook and nobody likes it, okay? So go deep. Bigger's better, right? So we're going to take our pork chops here, right? And we're going to fold these into our brine. Now, we're going to make this entire meal, except for a couple of things. We're going to make this entire meal from scratch in front of your eyes, right? So you guys can see this. You can see what the process is. So with a brine, 2 hours is awesome. Overnight is too much, right? But 2 hours is great. But if you're running out of time, 10 to 15 minutes is still a great amount of time to have a brine, right? Anything works. Something's going to happen to flavor this pork, right? So we're going to take 2 of these guys. We're just going to drop into the brine. And we're going to let these guys kind of swim around in this jacuzzi. Our little flavored jacuzzi here, right? And we're going to throw these into the refrigerator, and we're just going to let them hang out, okay? Another great way to do this is to put this into a resealable bag, okay? Another great way to do this, right? So we're going to put these guys in the fridge and kind of let them do their thing. You guys having a good time? That's awesome. I love it. All right, pork chop in the fridge. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. That's it, man. Lots of flavor, a little bit of science. It's perfect. All right, guys, so next up, we're going to work on some great braised cabbage. You guys like cabbage this time of year? All right, cabbage is kind of one of those things that I'm really only into it certain times of the year. I'm really kind of only into it in the fall, right? But this to me is like one of those flavors matched up with a great pork chop that's absolutely delicious. How many people like to make great cabbage, right? Great cabbage, good braised dishes. You love it, right? This time of year, it's sensational, okay? So we're going to take our heads of red cabbage. All right, pop these right in half. All right, we're going to take the core out. All right, when it comes to like cooking a really good cabbage dish, it's all about cutting the core out and cutting it as not as thin as possible, but relatively consistent size so it all cooks at the same time, okay? The cabbage is also something you can totally make in advance and reheat. All right, so we're going to shred these guys up. All right, we're also going to cook these down with a little bit of apple. A little bit of fresh thyme, some caraway, and some bay leaf. Okay, got a nice shred here. All right, we got an onion. We got some onion to this too. I'm just showing off. More chef, less celebrity. That's what I'm talking about. All right, great. So we're going to take our pan. We're going to crank this up, get this nice and high. All right. Perfect. A little bit of extra virgin olive oil. All right, we're going to add the onion. This is the base. Give us a little head start. A little bit of fresh thyme. How many guys cooking with fresh herbs these days? It's amazing, right? I always tell people, especially if they're not like super familiar with cooking, but they love to cook, right? The most important thing you could do for the flavor of your food is switch from dried herbs to fresh, right? And maybe you bump into people in your blogs when you correspond, the people that have those small little containers of dried herbs that they've had since Jimmy Carter was in administration, They've been around for a really long time. You're laughing because you know what I'm talking about, right? You got it, right? Like dried herbs, for the most part, they really start to lose their pungency after a while. So once a year, I would just recommend taking all of your dried spices, and donate them to a food shelter, or if it's not much to really write home about, just throw it out. Because you give your chance an opportunity to really kind of deal with fresh flavors. And fresh herbs, for the most part, they contain essential oils, right? And ladies, when you go to the spa and you get a massage, and you come out and you smell like lavender, right? And guys too, I like it, right? I like a good massage. So those are essential oils. And the idea of cooking with fresh herbs is to transfer the essential oils from the plant to the food. You're going to get that through fresh, right? Also, so the next question I get is like when you're cooking at home, right? And you go to the grocery store and you get one of those little clamshells, those plastic clamshells, filled with herbs, and it costs $3 or $4, right? And you need a sprig or two because that's what the recipe calls for. What do you do with the rest of the herbs, right? And my thing to that is, what do you do with fresh flowers when you take them home? What do you do? Put them in water, right? What do you do before that? You cut the bottom off, right? So when you buy fresh herbs in a little box, if you cut the bottoms off, put them into a clean glass of water in the refrigerator, you'll have fresh herbs for a week, if not longer. because you got to rehydrate the plant, right? Just like fresh flowers. It's a live plant, right? Cut the bottoms off, rehydrate it with some water, and you have something that's awesome, okay, for a long time. Fresh herbs, right? All right, good. All right, so a little bit of fresh thyme in the bottom of this. A bay leaf or two, okay? Give the onions a little head start, okay? Then we're going to take our red cabbage. I'm just going to drop this in. We're going to let this start to slowly braise, really start to do its thing, okay? So we're going to braise. That means we need some liquid, right? We got a little bit of chicken stock. We got a little bit of apple cider. We got a little bit of brown sugar. And the brown sugar is going to let it have a beautiful glisten to it, right? A glow. Almost like a savory jam, in a sense. It's going to have this translucency, which is going to be great. A little bit of caraway seed. A little bit of salt. And fresh cracked pepper. And then a big bay leaf, right? All right, this is without a doubt, and I've tried hundreds, literally hundreds of braised cabbage dishes. This is traditional, right? Other than a big shot of aquavit, right? This is traditional, and it's sensational, and probably the only recipe you guys will ever need, right? Cabbage, brown sugar, a little bit of caraway, cider, chicken stock. Leave the chicken stock out if you want to leave it vegetarian. Fresh thyme, and then bay leaf. Let it cook down. Glorious, right? Really, really great cooking. All right, cool. So that's going to start to cook and work its way down. All right, cool. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start to just sear our pork chop and kind of get that rolling, right? We're also going to make another great dish, which is spatzel. You guys know what spatzel is? Right? Everybody loves the spatzel. It's like the new black. Everybody's talking about spatzel, right? All right, guys, so we're just going to drop this down here in the oven. Let that go, okay? So we're going to get a big saute pan here, right? There we go. Cabbage sauce. Oh, great. Hey, Tyson, you know where my saute pan went in? All right, cool. Yeah. I did a live demo on the Today Show one time, right? And it was me and Al Roker. And my whole demo was to cook a piece of fish. And I had this whole thing planned out, right? It was like the beginning of the summer, and we were talking about like sea bass and great things that come out of the ocean. And I had 2.5 minutes to fill. And I was going to sear a piece of fish, and Al Roker was like, hey, on today's kitchen, we got Chef Tyler Florence, and what are we going to do today? And I said, Al, we're going to sear a piece of fish, and it's going to be fantastic. I dropped the fish in the pan, and the pan was ice cold. So we told jokes for 2 minutes. Awesome. I love live demos. Okay, so we're talking about searing, right? So we got a nice dry saute pan here, right? So we're going to let this come up to a slight smoke, and then also with pork, especially with searing things, right? You definitely want to dry things off, right? To get a great sear, right? Let's talk about that. Caramelizing, right? To get a great sear. Color, say it with me, guys. Color equals flavor. That was all right. Color equals flavor. Now we're talking. That sounds like about 2 glasses of Cabernet Sauvignon. I like it. I like it a lot, right? Okay, so with anything, right, especially with pork chops, with anything that feels like a pretty big cut, a couple of things you don't want to do. You don't want to overcrowd your pan, all right? You don't want to put too much in there, right? You want to make sure your pan is preheated, right? You want to make sure your oil is hot enough where you see a slight smoke, okay? All right, and then the next thing you want to do, which I think is the most important, is start off with dry products. So let's just say you don't brine, right? Let's just say you got a pork chop that comes out of the tray at the grocery store. You pull the plastic off, and you touch the outside of it, and it's a little damp, right? It's a little damp. So what happens with water when you heat it up? It turns into steam, okay? Steam is a very aggressive energy, and steam doesn't taste good, right? Steam is flat, right? So if you're not cooking, if you're not searing, you're stewing, right? If you're not getting caramelization on whatever you're talking about, shrimp, chicken, pork chops, whatever, right? What you're going to end up with something that's bubbly and kind of gray, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? You put 2 pork chops in the pan, they start to shrivel up a little bit. One side's brown, one side's gray. Everyone's saying yes, right? A couple of things. Your pan wasn't hot enough. Your pork chops were too wet, right? And you didn't have, right, a hot enough saute pan to make it work, all right? Color equals flavor, dry, okay? So we've got our pork chops here. We got a couple of paper towels here. We're going to make sure we're going to dry these guys off. And again, we just kind of did a really good sample of a good brine. 2 hours is fantastic. Overnight is too much, okay? We're going to pat these off really, really well. And then we're going to start to sear. See our saute pan's got a little bit of heat. So this is a really great cooking technique that we use in restaurants. It's called pan roasting, okay? So when you pan roast, you need a couple of things. You make sure your oven's on. I have a little oven down below that's on about 400 degrees right now, right? And when you pan roast in a restaurant, when you've got line cooks that are really busy, right? And the tickets are kind of coming in with the new orders, and you've only got 6 burners, how do you manage it all, right? So you would sear something to get a really good color, and you would throw it in the oven and let the oven do the hard part. It's called pan roasting. So instead of having to sear something from beginning to end and watch it cook and splatter, right, and maybe burn a little bit, right, you want to sear and get some great color in the pan and then drop it into the oven and let the oven do the hard part. It's called pan roasting, right? It works with everything. You can pan roast a whole chicken. You can pan roast duck. You can pan roast shrimp, okay? So we're going to take our brine pork chops, these big guys. Isn't that awesome? It's like a Flintstone chop. I don't know if I want to eat it or if I want to wrestle it. All right, cool. So we're going to take the guys, we're going to drop them in. All right, nice and dry. Really blot it off. Okay. Boom. So we get super color. Then we're going to drop into the oven. Then we're going to pan roast. Okay. So while we're working on that, let's talk about spätzle. All right. So spätzle is a Scandinavian dumpling, almost like a noodle. Right. You're lighting up. You know this very well, right? So it's a very, very easy recipe. Right. So we've got some flour. We've got some eggs, all right, we have a little bit of salt, and we also have some whole milk, right? That's really all you need for a base dumpling. You could take it anywhere you want. You can make black truffle spätzle, right? You can make nutmeg spätzle. You can make mustard spätzle. You can make herb spätzle, right? It's a very, very simple dough. I've got over here a pot of water that's boiling, okay? All right, so you definitely need water for sure, right? Boiling salted water, all right? So while it's simmering away, let's talk about the dough itself. Here you go. So it's a very, very easy recipe to put together. So we got a bowl, okay? We need 1 cup of all-purpose flour, leveled out. We need a little bit of salt, a little bit of nutmeg, just the back end of a spoon, a tiny touch. We need a little bit of pepper, okay? And then we're going to take our fingers, we're just going to mix this together. So this is the dry stuff. Then we're going to take another bowl, and we're going to mix together our wet, okay? And in our wet, we're going to have 2 eggs, and then about 1/2 cup of milk, up to 3/4 of a cup of milk. And you definitely don't want to put any shell in this. It's like I'm about the dough. How many guys have children? Right? I'm really kind of in this wonderful phase in our life right now. I have a 15-year-old, and my wife and I now have 2 beautiful small children. We have a 4-year-old boy named Hayden and a 3-year-old daughter named Dorothy. And they are so awesome. And pancakes and spätzle and this kind of stuff is right up their alley. They love to do it. They love to stir. They love to spill, too. Okay, so we're going to take this, we're going to mix this together. So we got our wet and we got our dry. So we got 1/2 cup. Okay. we have our seasoned flour mix. And I'm just going to take these two. We're just going to mix these together. And if it feels a little dry, add a little more milk. But it should be pliable. Okay? You're going to mix it together. And it should feel like a nice wet dough, almost like pancakes. Okay? Like that. Boom. We got some chives here. We're going to fold some chives into it. So we have chive spatzel. Hey, front row, can you guys smell these pork chops cooking away? It smells good, right? You smell the brown sugar and you smell everything? I love it. All right, a little bit of fresh chive on top of that. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to let this rest a little bit. All right, so when you make spatzel, give it a nice stir, okay? You guys got this? Easy dough, right? You're happy with that? Easy, right? All right, good. So you want to put this in the fridge. You want to rest for 10 or 15 minutes, okay? Done. So it'll firm up slightly because you want a firm dough. And this is what it's going to look like after it starts to rest a little bit. You can see that? Okay? It's going to begin to thicken. This is a really, really great, perfectly thickened spatzel dough. Let it come up to room temp a little bit. Check on these pork chops. You guys see this? Right? See that beautiful color on top of that? All right, color equals flavor, right? Without a doubt. Beautiful sear, okay? All right, we're going to drop this into the oven, okay? So this is the cool thing about pan roasting. Because I started the pork chop, the oven's going to take care of the rest of it. Isn't that kind of cool? So now it's circulated, surrounded by hot air, instead of you having to physically watch it on the stovetop and watch it splatter a little bit and maybe even burn, right? Because sometimes people are a little, hesitant if it starts to pop a little bit, right? That's great. So now you got a nice clean counter space. The house smells good, and you're good to go, right? So spatzel itself, this is really kind of a fun process. Okay, so we got our boiling water, right? So there's a lot of ways to actually make the dumpling. You can actually put it into a colander, all right, which is kind of fun, and let the spatula kind of drip through as you force it with a rubber spatula, or you can use a slotted spoon, which is kind of cool too, right? So we're going to take our boiling water here, and we're going to take our spatzel dough and get a nice big fat spoon. And we're just going to force it through, okay? See it start to fall through? So this is going to hit the water as dumplings, and it's going to start to poach, right? And as you start to poach, you're going to start to float. And it's Scandinavian dumplings that are going to taste fantastic with the pork, right? So these are going to go into the water when they float, they're done, right? One more little spoon. Right? And they're going to look like little sparrows once they hit the water. So it's almost like making pasta and poaching all at the same time. All right, great. So when it starts to flow, it's done. Then we're going to take it out. We're going to dry it off. And then we're going to saute it with the beautiful drippings from the pork chop when we're done. Does this sound good to you guys? All right, awesome. So this is really, really fast. Did you guys see the great food truck race? Was that fun? What about Corilla? Did you guys see them? Wasn't that wild? I thought, to be really, really honest with you, I thought they were going to win. Like from day one, right? Because as far as like the casting process for the show, I'm going to talk TV with you for a couple months, right? When it comes like the casting part of the show, there's so many, they really talk to you about, God, probably 30 different trucks, right? And not everybody makes it. So it's a casting decision of about probably 5 people. They like these guys for this reason, they like this team for that reason. On day one, after the first competition, I said, Corilla is going to kill it, right? I don't really call that bet with anybody because as a host of the show, it would be a little weird, right? But I said, these guys have got everything what it takes to really just knock this out of the park, right? So did you guys watch the show? So we're really excited because we're definitely shooting a third season. We're going to shoot a third season coming up in May, right? And it'll be on again in August. So those of you who didn't see the show, we take 8 of the best food trucks. And you guys know food trucks. Those really kind of fancy food trucks are all over America now, right? We're taking 8 of the best food trucks, and we race them from coast to coast like Cannonball Run, right? And then once we get to the next city, they have to compete with each other for the hearts and minds and wallets of the people that live in town. And it's really a popularity contest about who's got the best stuff. You know, who can get themselves out there using social media, right? Who can make the most money. And the person who wins that city, and the team that makes the least amount of money has to make the long, lonely drive home, right? And then so the competition gets stiff as the contestants get knocked off and get eliminated, right? So we get to Memphis, right? And it was just kind of an interesting evening. I get this phone call like 3 o'clock in the morning from the producer, right? And he says, I think we got an issue here, right? I'm like, well, tell me what happened. And he says, you know what, I think the Corilla guys, I think they cheated, right? And I'm like, I don't like. All right, so tell me exactly what you're talking about. So how the show works out, right? There's each truck is given the same amount of money, what we call seed money, and we clean the trucks out completely. So everyone starts out at the same level, regardless of what they make, right? They can make crepes, they can make tacos, they can make grilled cheese sandwiches. Doesn't matter, right? Everyone starts off from the same place. And then when they sell a unit, like a burrito, whatever, right? The duplicates of the receipts themselves get counted by the producers. So it's kind of kindergarten math, right? So the tickets have to add up to what your bank is going to be minus your seed money, right? And everybody has to kind of go through the same process. So we added up Corilla's thing, and they were over by $2,700, right? That they couldn't exactly explain, right? And so we didn't really have anywhere to go but address it, and unfortunately we had to kick them off the race. Hey, you guys want to see my spatula fest? You guys want to see this? Because I think these are kind of cool. So this is see how fluffy they look? Aren't they beautiful, right? So this is like really gorgeous chive spatzel. Isn't that fun? Just beautiful, fresh dumplings. All right, so we're going to let these guys cool off for a second, right? Can you guys get a shot? That's cool, right? Fresh spatzel, you saw it. Bang, right? All right. So when we were doing the elimination, because every team is just like holding on for dear life, you know? Like, because it gets to $100,000 at stake. I gave the Lime Truck a briefcase filled with $100,000 in cash, right? From the OC, right? Great team from Orange County. And they deserved it. They won fair and square. And so everyone's very tense. Everybody really wants to make it work. So we were down to 4 teams and 2 more cities, Atlanta and Miami, right? So one team had to get eliminated. So once the producers, and we went through it 5 times. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Like, yeah, absolutely. So we had no choice but just sort of, kick them out the race. And then, but the weird thing about it was that if they didn't cheat, they wouldn't have gone home, right? They wouldn't have won the city, but they wouldn't have gone home either. And the team that would have gone home ended up in the finale, right? It was Hodgepodge from Cleveland, right? If you guys get a chance to see the show, so it was all this kind of weird twist of fate of how that worked out, right? Because once we got through Memphis and we eliminated, one team, regardless of how it worked out, we had 2 more cities to go, and there's a winner. So, but it was a very, very interesting show. The hijinks this season. Will you agree with me, or all-time high? It was crazy to watch, right? Wasn't it? You guys, it was a fun show. Did you guys like it? It was great, right? Yeah, so we're really excited about it. So we're shooting our 3rd season coming up, and I'm not exactly sure where we're going to be going, right? We're actually talking about going east to west. So it might be Boston, San Francisco, right? Might be Philly, San Francisco, right? But we're really taking a look at that. Oh, this is gorgeous, guys. Beautiful pork chops, huh? So a little bit of brown sugar. No, it's great, right? All right, cool. All right, so this, just so you know, if you guys are taking notes at home, the oven's on 400 degrees, right? So again, we're pan roasting. This whole thing's working out. All right, cool. So are you guys ready to see this whole thing coming together? All right, awesome. So last but not least, we're going to make a really kind of quick sauce. And this is literally creme fraiche and mustard. And this mustard's actually kind of gorgeous. We ferment our own grain mustard at Wayfair Tavern. We actually make our own grain mustard, right? From scratch. It's cool, right? It's good. It's a very easy process. It's mustard seeds, white wine, sugar, some herbs, and you let it bubble in the walk-in for about a week, and it's fine. All right, cool. So we're going to take some creme fraiche on the bottom, okay? We're going to take some grain mustard. We're going to mix this together. And this is going to be our sauce for everything, for our pork chop, right? A little bit of olive oil. And we're going to take a spoon and we're just going to stir this together. All right. Really crisp, really fresh, very simple, creamy mustard, creme fraiche sauce, all right? All right, cool. Let's pull this together, guys. So we're going to take our cabbage here, right? Our reduced cabbage. And we're going to warm this back up. All right, we're going to take our spatula water, dump this down. Okay. Let that go. All right, we're going to take our pork chops out. Boom. Beautiful, right? All right, we're going to take our spatula and we're going to toast this together too. All right, cool. Dinner time, everybody. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of our... We got a good shot of this? Where's my... I'm a TV guy. There you go. Right? Now we're talking. Okay, so our mustard and creme fraiche. And again, it's a fabulous meal. So it's on the menu at Wayfair Tavern this season. And everybody who's watching at home right now on the Alexia Facebook page, if you guys come out to the Bay Area, we'd love to feed you. Okay. We got our pork chops. We're going to let these guys rest for a couple of minutes. All right, which is another very important process when you're cooking meat. You want to let it rest just for a few seconds. All right, so we're going to take these guys out. Isn't that a beautiful pork chop, guys? You guys feeling that or what? Isn't that beautiful? Hey, yo. Bang. Dinner. All right, guys, so in this, so we're talking about pork chops, right? Fattest flavor? I'm not throwing this out, right? So we're gonna take our spatula, right? All right, and we're gonna saute this in a little bit of pork fat, right? Right? Until it gets nice and crispy. All right, so really good spatula has to be sauteed, okay? So we're gonna saute this in all these wonderful drippings until it gets nice and crunchy on the outside, okay? Like a little bit of color. It's starting to get crispy already. All right. We're gonna take our cabbage, okay? Our braised cabbage. Looks beautiful, man. It's gorgeous. Oh my God. Awesome. I'll share. All right, so you're going to fill the bottom with our braised cabbage. All right. And then also some of our liquid in the bottom. Isn't that beautiful, guys? See the color of this? Right? Some of that brown sugar and vinegar in the bottom. All right. All right, cool. We're going to take our spatula. Nice and toasty and crunchy. Right on the bottom as well. Boom. Now 2 big fat pork chops. Right on top. Look at that. Bang. There's a little more liquid on the top. Right? And that's what I'm talking about, right? Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely. Nice and hearty, right? Perfect for this time of year. A couple of bay leaves. Guys, from the bottom of my heart, welcome to San Francisco, California. I'm so glad you guys are here. Can you give a wonderful round of applause for Alexia for making this happen for everybody? Really lovely people. I love what they're doing because they're saying all the right things. They're making great things for everybody. And ladies and gentlemen, pork chops with cabbage and spatzle. Boom. Done. We got a nice shot of that? Ta-da! Isn't that beautiful, guys? Thank you so much for coming out. Please give one more round of applause for our bloggers for doing such a really great job and creating like really great flavors. Sensational. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Enjoy your dinner. Thank you, guys. So I just got stopped real fast. You guys want to do Q&A for a couple minutes or what? I've been yakking for an hour. I don't know if you guys want to. Maybe you're done with me. I don't know. All right, don't fight. All right, we got a question here. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Amy.
Everybody say hi to Amy. Hi, Amy.
So where do we find these recipes?
So you can get this recipe. Actually, you can, while you guys are in San Francisco, you can actually eat this at Wafer Tavern, which is a restaurant here in San Francisco. It's in the financial district. It's right underneath the Transamerica Tower, a couple of blocks from here. We'd love to have you guys are in town. All right. You can also get this recipe at alexiafoods.com, and you can also get this recipe at tylerflorence.com. All right. Got a question?
Hi, Tyler.
Hey, how are you?
So going back to the great food truck race, my question is, every week you would announce how much somebody made. Do they know how much they made? So do they already know if they're going to be in the bottom or the top?
The question, guys, is about the great food truck race, and the show is as real as you're watching on television. So from a production standpoint, right, we do throw some curveballs into the whole thing, but there's absolutely no trickery in editing at all. What happens is what happens, and they really have no idea what's going to happen.
So
they have no clue.
They don't know how much money they have ahead of time?
Sorry, what?
They don't know how much money they have ahead of time?
They have no idea how much money they have.
Okay.
They have no clue. Seriously,
I thought maybe they were counting
no,
throughout the show.
So those reactions are real. It's very real. It's reality competition television. They have no idea. For the seed money, how much we give them, they have no clue.
Okay, great.
That's great.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Good. We'll take one more question because I think the servers want to get dinner down. And
One more?
I think you guys want to just get loud and have fun. Question in the back.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi. What's your name?
Devin.
Sorry?
Devin?
Devin?
Yes.
Everybody's out of Devin.
What is the favorite meal to make for your family at home?
My favorite meal to make with the family home is to me. I love paying attention to the seasons. Right? I love what time of the year it is. So in the summer, it's about crisp, fresh flavors. Right? It's really about it's about taking ingredients. This is what I love about Northern California cooking. Right? And I realized I've been cooking California food my entire life, but didn't really know it until I moved to California. Right? But it's about making fresh flavors speak for themselves. It's about taking the most beautiful tomatoes, most beautiful corn, fresh basil, a little bit of olive oil, some crunchy black pepper, a little bit of sea salt, and use that with a seared piece of fish, right? That to me is what I love and what I crave. And this time of year, I really love braises and deep, like really rich flavors. And to me, that is what I really, really look for, right? I'm also a parent, right? I'm also a dad, right? I work 75 hours a week. My wife works really hard. We have 3 children, and we get dinner on the table, right? That's the reason I really like what these guys do, Alexia Potatoes, because we always know we got something in the freezer that's going to be great, right? So we can use chicken and supplement some vegetables and kind of make that thing happen, right? So that's what I like. To me, I pay attention to the seasons. That's what I love. I love it, right? Anybody else?
That's it. Great. Thank you so
Guys,
much,
thank you so
Tyler.
much for coming out today. Thank you.
vlog.
Have a great conference. Have a great conference. Thank you so much for coming out.
A big thanks again to Alexia for hosting tonight, and a thanks too for all of our friends watching on the Alexia Facebook page.